let's dive into our ACC Power Rankings. Perfect transition there. You guys are very similar, and obviously there wasn't a lot to go off of this week. Right. Looking at last week's Power Rankings, they're somewhat similar to this week's with only 4 games. Miami beating Virginia Tech, Syracuse beating NC State 24-9, Clemson won 34-28 over Florida State, and UNC, like you just mentioned, Drake May got them to a 3-point win over Duke. Let's start at the top again this week because you guys have the same top 8, and if you're watching on YouTube, there should be on screen, but we'll go through it for you. At the top, no surprise, the number 5 Clemson Tigers. It seems they're going to be number 1 until somebody knocks them off.
Somebody knocks them off.
I'm excited for that game with Syracuse this week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's normally a good game.
Noon in Clemson, so Tigers and the Orange. Orange are third for both of you with Wake Forest sandwiched in between in the 2 spot there. Wake didn't play this week, but still they didn't really do anything to lose that number 2 spot.
The team that was closest to beating Clemson
isn't going to be number 2. Right. Correct.
So maybe the Orange, if they even make it close on Saturday, can move up into that 2 spot. And now you guys have UNC in the 4 spot, 3-0 in the ACC. It seems like they're kind of running away as the favorite for the Coastal this season.
Well, you know, Florida State keeps losing.
And NC State lost to Syracuse.
And then they lost their quarterback. Too. Yeah. Like, I still, if they had their quarterback, if they had a healthy Devin Leary, I think NC State's better than UNC.
Yeah.
But that's not the case now.
Yeah.
Well, we see, I think this is the first time since we started doing these 3-4 weeks ago that a Coastal team has cracked the top 5 in either of your rankings. Actually, Chris
we would have had North Carolina.
Well, Chris had North Carolina there last week at 5.
Did I? Okay.
You did not. You had them at 6 last week. So first time Coastal team has been in the top 4.
Yes.
It's been pretty much all Atlantic at the top. It stays that way, 5 and 6 for both of you. Wolfpack at 5, Florida State at 6. Did keep it close with Clemson on Saturday night. And then Pitt sitting at 7 for you guys coming off the bye week.
Yeah.
Miami didn't get too much of a bump from either of you guys with the win over Virginia Tech.
I think the biggest takeaway from my game on Saturday was Miami is not good. like that's the same thing. Like, but the Pitt game, Pitt's not as Pitt, Miami. They aren't really good. The only thing that impressed me from the North Carolina game was that Drake May is good.
Right.
It's true.
we're finding a lot about the rest of the Coastal Division and how mediocre.
Think about this. Virginia Tech is 1-3 in the ACC, and we play in the Coastal Division. Now, our one win came in the Atlantic, of course, but that's Boston College is not a normal Atlantic Division team. Like, imagine if we were playing Clemson and Wake Forest and Syracuse and NC. Well, we do play NC State, but
Florida State.
Yeah.
So Canes move up to 8 for Chris from 9. Stay put at 8 for David. 9 and 10. This is where we get our first change for you guys. Chris, you like Duke a little better than Georgia Tech. David, the opposite. You have the Yellow Jackets 9th, the Blue Devils 10th.
Yeah, I could go either way. I guess the fact that Duke played UNC so close is what makes me put them there. Like, I actually thought UNC would win that game by a couple touchdowns, but if you go back and watch it, like, arguably Duke should have won the football game. Yeah. So I guess there's not too much difference between actually Duke and UNC. So that's why I've got Duke a little bit higher than Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I put Georgia Tech there. Georgia Tech didn't play this week.
Yeah.
And the fact that Georgia Tech has won after firing its head coach
2 in a row, and
twice,
maybe 3 in a row because they play UVA
and they
on
play
Thursday.
Virginia
At home on a Thursday night, too. Maybe, I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like for that, but you'd think it'd be decent. One of the few night games for Georgia Tech. But
I don't know. Define decent.
Moving on down with Chris, you did not make any changes to your 11 through 14 from last week. You have Louisville, Virginia Tech, Boston College, and Virginia.
Well, Louisville didn't play, right?
They did not.
Okay, so they were off.
So were Boston College and Virginia.
That's right, so I didn't change them. And Virginia Tech,
didn't do enough to move up. It didn't do enough to move down.
Exactly right. Like, I couldn't move them down because if I'd moved them down, I would have had to move them below Boston College, who they already smoked, and then UVA, who, God, they're horrible. So I just can't do it.
Well, that brings me into my question for David here. You have Louisville 11th, but what did Virginia do in their bye week to move up from 14 to 12?
I'm realizing that now. Well, to be fair, I did not look at my last week power rankings.
So you just went
and I did them, and I was like, yeah, we'll put Boston College sucks. We'll put Boston College 14th. And I was like, Virginia's probably better than Virginia Tech right now. And now I'm looking at my last week's power rankings, and I had Tech, Boston College, Virginia.
It's all. What have you done for me lately? And UVA didn't lose this weekend.
They didn't lose.
There you go.
Managed to not lose.
Boston College didn't play, but probably lost this week anyway.
Man, yeah, they're bad.
Well, there you go. They're this week's edition of the ACC Power Rankings. Again, Chris and David in lockstep in the top 8. And then a little bit of difference towards that bottom half. But it's going to be interesting. Clemson and Syracuse, maybe if the Orange pull off the upset, we see Syracuse with the number 1 next to their name come next Monday.
If they beat Clemson, yes, we will be in late October, and Syracuse will be number 1 in my power rankings.
The best team in the ACC. Giovanni Heater is in studio, and I'm sure he's loving hearing that right now.
Keep it up, guys.